This What's Working with Cam Marston podcast is brought to you by Stella Artois Beer.
What's Working with Cam Marston is brought to you by Stella Artois Beer. Stella Artois is a perfect beer for celebration. Nothing caps off a big sale, hitting your incentive goals, or a profitable quarter like a round of Stella's. Brewed first in 1708 as a special Christmas brew, today Stella is a gift for everyone to enjoy year-round. Stella Artois. Find it wherever fine beer is sold.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of What's Working. I'm Cam Marston. What's Working is the show designed to bring you insights into the trends shaping the workplace, the workforce, and the marketplace around you. I want you to hear something on this show each week from our guest that's going to give you some insight into the way that you do things in your workplace. And my hope is that it will make you just a little bit better at whatever it is that you do. This show is designed to highlight the trends. We try to find the trends, and too often the trends are, well, not too often. Oftentimes the trends are things that are going on inside a workplace or inside a business. What we don't find on this show too often are businesses that are trends. And I hesitate to say that the guest that I'm going to have on this week is in a business that is a trend. But there is something very clearly going on here. He has found a demand in the marketplace and is approaching that demand in a very, frankly, modest way. What is it? Chaplains for hire. Corporate chaplains. I didn't even know these things existed until a friend of mine pointed them out to me and said that he uses them for his company, and mentioned several other people that he and I know that are also using a chaplain for hire for their company. Come in once a week, spend time with the employees individually or as a group or however the environment dictates it, and do what it is that chaplains do, which we'll soon learn. One of the things that my studies has revealed over time as I work with my corporate clients is a steady decline in religious affiliation. And I'm looking at a piece of data here by the NORC, the General Society Survey, that was prepared for me that I used in a presentation. And it is the percent of each generation with no religious affiliation. And the baby boomers in 1982, they surveyed the baby boomers, and about 12% had no religious affiliation. Generation Xers, they surveyed in 1998, and about 22%, double the Gen Xers have no religious affiliation. And the millennials in 2018, the percent who claimed no religious affiliation is 35%. So 12% with the boomers, 22% with the Xers, 35% with the millennials. Here's another one, attendance at religious services. About 15% of the baby boomers attended religious services in wait a minute, let me read this correctly. The percent never attending religious services. Boomers, about 15%. Gen Xers, about 22%. Millennials, about 37%. So we see as we get younger, the gap growing with a religious affiliation or attending services or claiming to have a connection with the services. What we're going to learn today is the demand for spirituality is as tight, as intense as it ever has been. In my opinion, it's a common source of man's transformation is to kind of claim some spirituality as they come of age, to connect with it as they come of age. And our guest is going to lead us what he does as a corporate chaplain. His name is Todd McGehee. When we get him back on the show here in just a moment, we're going to talk about the business and the relevancy and the benefits of a corporate chaplain. You're listening to What's Working. I'm Cam Marston. We'll go to break, be right back with Todd McGehee of Coastal Chaplains.
What's Working with Cam Marston is brought to you by Stella Artois Beer. Now offering the purchase of the Stella Artois Chalice, a beautiful stemmed glass with the Stella logo. The purchase of each Stella Artois chalice provides 5 years of clean water for someone in one of 13 developing countries around the world. Learn more at stellaartois.com. Stella Artois. Find it wherever fine beer is sold.
At Spring Hill Toyota, it's just that easy. From our 3-day exchange to free car washes, the benefits of the Spring Hill Advantage make the choice easy to see. We make it easy to own. Every vehicle comes with Toyota Care, plus our no-cost maintenance plan with free tire rotations and oil changes for 4 years. Get peace of mind with free roadside assistance 24/7. And don't forget, it's easy to buy your car 100% online. Visit SpringHillToyota.com today. It's just that easy.
I'm Eric Cromwell. The law firm of Cromwell & Associates can help guide your decisions regarding the life you've created with estate planning tools like wills and trusts. We've planned meetings with first-generation business owners and large multi-generational family groups. With locations in Mobile and Fairhope, we can assist you and your family through every stage of life. To learn more, call 251-605-9075 or find Cromwell & Associates on Facebook.
When you make the right decision, it feels good, like picking the perfect accent rug or choosing a good night's sleep over an all-night crime show binge. It feels really good to make the right insurance decision, too. I'm State Farm agent Allison Horner, and that's why I'm right here in Mobile to help you select the right protection at the right price. I'll make sure you understand your State Farm coverages so you'll know what to expect if the unexpected happens. With me as your State Farm agent, it's easy to make the right choice. You can come by, call, or click AllisonHorner.com. When you want the real deal, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
We're back. You're listening to What's Working. I'm Cam Marston. In the studio with me is Todd McGehee. Todd's company is Coastal Chaplains, chaplains for hire in the corporate marketplace. And as you know, this show is about trends that are in the forefront and on the horizon. And I think there is a trend emerging of the need for chaplains in the workplace. This is not something I was aware of until it was brought to my attention by one of my friends locally, and I can't wait to get into this. Todd, thank you for your time. Welcome to What's Working.
Well, thank you very much, Cam. I'm excited about being here with you and diving into this subject.
Tell me what Coastal Chaplains is. Let's begin there.
Okay. So, in essence, we are a service that is an employee benefit, if you want to look at it like that. We provide care for employees in the workplace. It looks like 3 things in particular. I show up on a weekly basis and spend some time with the employees. It can be anywhere from a wave to a full 30-minute conversation if they have the need for a deeper conversation. And so it's just building relationships. It's being in their workplace. It's being there with them. It's seeing the stresses that they go through from work life and how they balance work life and regular life. And so it gives me an opportunity to be in their space and to just be a listening ear. And what's good about that too is that it's they don't have to worry about it being a judgmental ear. So that's what we do on a weekly basis. Then I also have it's really a paging system, and they can call 24/7, 365 if they need someone to talk to right away. I've had people call who were considering suicide. I've had people who called who the police were at their door knocking to come and arrest them. So there's a wide range of issues that people are dealing with, and whether they admit it in the workplace or not, it's impacting them in the workplace.
Yeah.
And so the care line is what I call it. Is the paging system that they can call at any time if they need to talk to someone. And then lastly, if someone needs to sit and talk about a deeper issue, parenting, finances, healthy lifestyle, whatever it is, I have an opportunity to do that, and we create a space and a time to do that one-on-one. And it's a care session. It's a counseling session, but not calling it a counseling session.
Lots of questions here. And one of the things that I wanted to emphasize is when I asked you, let's make sure our cell phones are silenced and turned off, you had to say, no.
Yeah, I can't
Part
do
of
it.
My ministry
That's right.
is that this thing is on all the time.
All the time, 24/7, 365. That cell phone is on. What I try to do is answer a call. They have to leave a message through the paging system, and I try to return that call within 5 minutes.
Yeah. Tell me about the companies who utilize your services. What are they looking for from you, and why do they feel like this is good for them?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, I think they see it as an employee benefit. The benefits that it gives them is it gives their employees an opportunity to talk about things that they might not talk to a manager about.
Well, isn't this what I'm just going to play devil's advocate for a moment, but isn't this what an HR department is supposed to do in some sense?
It is, and I work really closely with the HR department at times. There will be an HR director that says, "Hey, you might need to talk to so and so today," and they're dealing with something, and I think that you might have some insight on it. I'm trained to do more than what an HR person can do, diving into some of the deeper subjects in life, and that's where I think I fill in or I work closely, hand in hand with HR directors to create a service and an opportunity for their employees to meet their stresses and the issues that they have head on.
What about the religious aspect of it? That it's very non-traditional. Like, this show studies the trends influencing the workplace, and there is and you and I discussed this as we sat down, a very clear decline in church going, if that's the way we call it,
right,
in the United States. And I don't know beyond the borders. Perhaps it's unique to the United States. Perhaps it's a trend worldwide. But do you feel like, is there that big of a demand for a spiritual-based counselor? May I use that term?
Yes. I do think there is a big demand for it because it's a part of life that a lot of people don't have access to anymore. So I approach all of this from a holistic understanding that we are not just workforce people. We are not just cogs in a machine to create a product or to provide a product or a service. We are more than what we do. And because of that, I think we are physical, obviously, but there's also this part of us that is not physical. It is mental and it's spiritual. So one of the things that I get the opportunity to do is provide an opportunity to tap into some of the mental aspect of life and how work and regular life come into contact with your mental well-being, and then the spiritual aspect of that as well. I think everything is spiritual. I don't believe that there's a difference between work and church, between the sacred and the secular.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe that there is a division there. I believe that all things can be spiritual.
The people that use your services. So, and this is something that I want to get into. You go into a workplace. It could be a wave, you say. You may wave at somebody. You may
Right.
sit down and have a really intense 30-minute conversation.
Correct.
Are the people that are asking you for the help, do they have a background in spirituality, or is this often their first touch on that subject matter?
Well, it really varies. Now, I have found that a lot of people who are plugged into a faith community, whatever their faith background is, oftentimes feel more comfortable talking to me than they would their priest or their pastor or their Sunday school teacher or whatever experience and expression of faith they are involved in. So I'm a more comfortable person to talk to.
Mm-hmm.
I'm separated from their faith community so that they can have kind of a safe space there. So I do see that a lot, but I get just as many people who have no faith background, who have questions, and oftentimes we'll enter into a session where we're talking about finances and spirituality comes into it, but that's not the full thrust of what we're doing.
Do the people that come to you, are they? You're a chaplain. Your
Right.
card says chaplain. Your title is chaplain, which implies a faith overtone, a spiritual
Sure.
overtone. But do you have people that come to you and say, "Listen, I'm not interested in the spiritual content. I have financial issues, and I want you to talk to me about that." Do they try to separate you out of the spirituality?
I have had a few people that do that, and quite frankly, that's not that difficult to do on some subjects.
Yeah.
Where you can say, "Well, look, truth is truth. Good parenting is good parenting, right? Good finances are good finances.
Mm-hmm.
Good work habits are good work habits." And so there is a lot that you can address that doesn't necessarily have to be spiritual, but that improves someone's life. So in a lot of times, it's more along the lines of life coaching than it would be in the spiritual realm. So,
life coaching. What does that mean?
Well, so how can I become a better version of me?
Yeah.
And in those cases, what I'm doing is I'm trying to ask pertinent questions that will help the person discover what it is that they're wanting to achieve and how they can get better at who they are and what they want to do.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the life coaching part of it. But it does, all throughout, there is a thread of spirituality, and it's always there if someone wants to talk about that.
Yeah. So a chaplain, when you and I first met or talked on the phone to discuss this conversation we're having now, you explained to me the uniqueness of a chaplain versus a priest.
Sure.
Would you tell everybody, the listeners, what that distinction is? I'm not sure if I'm the only one that doesn't know, or there are others out there.
No, I think that's a great question. It's one that comes up quite frequently. So as a priest or a pastor, your main focus, your main ministry is the body that is your church, your congregation, your parish. And so most of your time and effort is spent in developing people in that parish, counseling people in that parish, helping them grow in their faith. So everything tends to be, not everything, but most of the stuff that you do in that role is focused on the people that are coming to you. What a chaplain does is a little bit different. A chaplain says, I'm going to make myself available where you are. I'm going to make myself available in your place of business.
Where you are. You're
Right.
the moving person now.
Right. So instead of so for a long time, the church has been in North America, come to us.
Right.
Come and see. And there was a church growth movement that was a race to let's build the best churches with the best facilities and have the best programs because it's going to attract people in. Come and see us. And this is completely opposite. It's I'm coming to see you. And I don't want to come with an agenda other than I want to be there for you. And it's very much like the ministry of Jesus when you think about it. Jesus didn't have a congregation. Jesus had 12 disciples, yes, but they were on the move. He was in the marketplace far more regularly than he was in the synagogue or particularly the temple in Jerusalem.
Mm-hmm. Do you see, now we see the rise of how to put this, fewer people are going to church today, but is there a rise in spirituality?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. I see a rise in spirituality. I think that what people are saying no to is the institution.
Mm-hmm.
What people are saying no to is going through the motions. It's the tradition that I'm supposed to show up, wear my best, act my best, do my best, and then the rest of the week is just whatever.
Right.
And so I think that's part of what opens the door for this kind of opportunity in ministry is people are in need and they're spiritual and they long for that. They long for tapping into this spiritual side of them, but they don't have an outlet because they're certainly not going to step into a church.
Yeah. A church typically, in my understanding, provides education, provides ritual, provides group. One of the things that I think is necessary for a faith to develop is the group, support for one another.
Exactly.
And you're now doing that on the move.
Correct.
Are you able to provide ritual on the move?
Yes, but you have to be careful with how you do that.
Let's talk about that when we get back from break. And I also want to talk about what any one of these business owners would claim your benefit to them is.
Okay.
We'll get back. We'll touch on that when we get back from break. You're listening to What's Working. I'm Cam Marston in the studio with Todd McGehee of Coastal Chaplains.
At Roy Lewis Construction, we're in the business of adding value. Whether it's working with you to meet your unique business needs or making investments in our community in lasting ways, providing unparalleled value and quality in every commercial construction project. When planning your next commercial project, reach out to Roy Lewis Construction. We'll pair you with a designer that best suits your project needs and work with that designer to balance the best architectural outcome with the best budget outcome. Find us online at roylewisconstruction.com, building legacies one relationship at a time.
Hi, I'm David Nelson, brewmaster and owner of Braided River Brewing in downtown Mobile. We make drinkable, flavorful craft beer perfect for life on the Gulf Coast. So pick up one of our 6-packs before your next adventure or stop by our tap room for a relaxing afternoon with friends. Follow us on social media for the latest beer releases and events, and ask for a Braided River at your favorite bars and restaurants. Thanks for your support. We look forward to sharing our beers with you.
This is Cam Marston, and I'm with Cajun Mike of E3 Termite and Pest Control. Cajun Mike, if a homeowner thinks they have termites, do you offer inspections? What about someone buying a new home? Can you come in and take a look and see if there are termites in their new home?
Yeah, basically what we would do on a home above and beyond anyone else is we actually do a thorough inspection. But above that, we will use infrared imaging that will allow us to see problems in the wall and at times can tell us if there's anything going on.
That's fantastic, Cajun Mike. How can people find you?
They can find me at e3pest.com.
That's the letter E, the number 3, pest.com.
King Solomon wrote, "Without consultation, plans are frustrated, but with many counselors, they succeed." The law firm of Cromwell and Associates has the legal counsel that can help your business succeed, with experience in LLCs, corporations, and tax. I'm Eric Cromwell. Our law firm has locations in Mobile and Fairhope. Call 251-605-9075 or search for Cromwell and Associates on Facebook. And let's discuss how we can help you.
We're back. I'm in the studio today with Todd McGehee. He runs Coastal Chaplains here in Mobile. They provide chaplain services for businesses. And may I list some of your clients, or would we not want to go down that road?
No, I think they would be fine with you listing the clients. So.
White Spunner Realty, Joe Bullard, and the different automotive groups under that banner. Bud Bush Distributors, Merchants Transfer, Taylor Martino. These are some of the ones that have found value in the services that you offer. Prior to break, we were going to talk a little bit about what these business owners claim to get from you. So if I were to take any one of these business owners and say, all right, justify his payment. How are you guys justifying his payment? What would they say?
I think one of the things that we've seen in marketplace ministry over the years has been an increase in happiness in the workplace when there's a chaplain there. There's been an increase in productivity in the workplace when a chaplain is there. There's fewer missed days in the workplace when a chaplain's there. And if you think about it, it makes sense, right? I mean, if I am tapping into that part of someone who is struggling with alcoholism, and I can get them on the right path, if I can put them in the right direction, get them connected to the right people, if I can give them the right resources, then it's going to improve their accessibility at work. It's going to improve their performance at work. It's going to improve their lifestyle and their livelihood. Mm-hmm. And so that's part of the benefit of it. I think another part of the benefit of it is there's a certain connection that you mentioned before the break, that one of the things that churches do is they provide community. When you have a chaplain, I'm able to create community in different ways that an owner can't do. I can create safe spaces that an owner can't necessarily do, or a manager, because that's then a dual role. And dual roles are very hard in the workplace. It's hard to be a manager and a caring ear, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it can be done, but it can only go so far.
I can see that. Yeah, I can see that. So the owners would say he is able to provide something that even my best and most committed and gracious managers, HR managers, whatever it may be, he adds a little something extra. And I suppose it may help that you're not a full-time employee. It helps that you're an outsider. It helps that there's, I would suspect, you showing up is somewhat of an event of every workday when you're there.
Oh, it is. It's funny that people will say, "Oh, it's Thursday" when I show up. "Oh, it's Thursday. That's right. Todd's in the building." And then there's just an opportunity to connect with people that they don't have with their coworkers.
Yeah.
It is, and one of the things that I try to do is bring in just the liveliness to have laughter. As much as anything, it's a ministry of laughter and presence, of connecting. I mean, I might spend one day at a location where it's over and over and over again, all we talk about is the weather or sports.
Yeah.
but it's that connection. It's that break from their regular work. It's not the water cooler, but it's different.
Yeah.
And so I think that is an interesting part of what I get to do.
So a formal church, let's not say a formal church, a traditional church, we were talking about this prior to the break,
right,
provides ritual. And you said you got to be very careful when you go into a workplace and try to provide ritual. Talk more about that.
So one of the things that I'm cognizant of every time I go into the workplace is I don't want to mess up the workflow. The worst thing I could do is come in and be a distraction to the point where then people don't get their work done.
Right.
Then I'm not an asset. Right. So you have to be very careful at creating ritual and find the right ways to do it. And every location is different. So one of the rituals that I have is if someone has a prayer request, say, they know because I'm a chaplain that I will be a person who prays for them. So they say, hey, Todd, I've got this going on in my life. Would you pray for me? I can stop right there and have a time of prayer with them in that space.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I can do that in some locations. I can't do that if there are forklifts whizzing around.
Right.
So you have to be careful with how you create that space in those situations. So then you might say, hey, can you take 5 and let's go to the break room and let's pray there.
Right.
So prayer is one of those rituals that we create in the workplace.
And you do that based on the culture, the feeling, the personality of each workplace.
And the flow of the workplace.
Yeah. So you've got to be very careful when you enter into the one. Well, let's back up a little bit.
Right.
We'll pick any one of these businesses that we've talked about, and they've said, we want you as a part of the workplace. And tell me now what that looks like. So every Thursday, you're going to be here at this time. Is that the way it works?
Generally. So it's hard to nail down, okay, at 1 o'clock I'm going to be here, because if I've been somewhere else and I've had a 30-minute conversation and it goes over my time, then I'll be late at my next spot. But everybody knows the day and the general time. And it's usually morning or early afternoon that I'm in their location. So they know when I'm going to be there. And I have a lot of people that say, I've been waiting to talk to you since whatever day last week.
Right.
And so it's just showing up. It's a consistency of showing up. And that's an important part of what I do.
If there are 200 people in the workplace, is your mission to seek every eye contact with all 200 of them? Or are you just going to be the most visible you can be in the time that you're there?
That's the goal. The second there is to be the most visible in the time that I'm there. So I'm trying to see everybody. But if a guy at one of the Bullard locations is under a car and he's taking out a transmission, I'm not going to be able to make eye contact.
That's right.
Him. So, but the goal is to make as much eye contact and as much connection as possible. Again, whether it's a wave or whether it's a hey, how's it going? Or did you watch the game last night?
Right. Now, you told me when we first met about a group called Corporate Chaplains of America. Yours is called Coastal Chaplains. Tell me about these two different groups.
Okay, so Coastal Chaplains of America is the group that I connected with when I started chaplaincy in the business place.
Corporate Chaplains of America.
Yeah, Corporate Chaplains of America.
Okay, got it.
And so Corporate Chaplains of America is a phenomenal business. They have hundreds of chaplains all over the United States. They reach into every part of the United States, and they are part of really large businesses and impacting them through chaplaincy. We're a little bit different. Our version of chaplaincy has a different aim and a different goal. Part of that has to do with where corporate chaplains would lean more towards being very specific about helping people find Christ. My purpose is more about helping people be a better version of them.
Yeah.
And taking the next step towards whatever they need to do. Where they focus on larger businesses, I'm able to get into the small local businesses. And then the other thing I do is I get to spend a lot more time because it's small or because it's local. Let me put it like that. Because it's local, I can spend a lot more time with the owners and I can invest in them. We can talk about leadership. We can talk about what faith looks like in their position. We can talk about all sorts of things that impact them that when I was working at Corporate Chaplains of America, you just don't have time. I might not know the owner because the owner's in Charlotte.
Right.
And so this gives us an opportunity to impact the business in a much deeper way. And I'm on campus more with what I'm doing now. I'm at the locations more. I'm there for parties. I'm there for recognitions. I'm there for training. I do training, different kinds of training for for the businesses here locally.
What makes a good chaplain?
Yeah, that's a great question.
You're dang right, it's a great question, and that's why it's my show.
Yeah.
I love to ask great questions.
You do ask great questions. So I think the number one thing is you have to be accessible, and that comes in a number of ways. Physically accessible, right? So you have to be there. You have to show up. I think you have to have an accessible personality, someone that's not offensive, someone that's not in your face, someone that someone you can connect with. So there's got to be that kind of connection with the people. If you can't make connections with people, if you're not a good people person, chaplaincy is not for you. Mm-hmm. And then you have to be willing to, particularly when you're going into some of these workplaces, you have to not be easily offended. I've had people flip me off.
Really?
Oh, yeah. They see the chaplain come and they're like, boop.
Really?
And there goes the finger. Yeah.
Right.
And they're just like, I don't want anything to do with you. I've had one guy at one of my locations, this was years ago, who I'm telling you, I think his personal goal was to see how many times he could drop the F-bomb in a single conversation just to see my reaction was. And you can't as a chaplain be easily offended by that.
Right. So when I think of chaplains, you are the first one I've ever met. Chaplain has been a part of my terminology. But
Right.
once you distinguished this for me on the phone the other day and told me about your movement and how you move around to these locations, I thought that's fantastic. The priest expects people or hopes that people will come to him or her. The chaplain is on the move, outgoing to people. And the most famous chaplain in the world, in my opinion, was not a chaplain. He was an actor. Do you know who I'm talking about?
No idea.
Father McGehee on MASH.
Oh,
Remember
yeah.
him?
Yes, I do, actually.
He was
Correct.
the chaplain
Yeah,
for their
for the MASH unit
and was
That's
on
right.
that show for
I totally
whatever
forgot
it was,
about that.
7 years, 10 years, something like that. So it's interesting that you say that the spirituality is on the increase while church's attendance is on the decrease, and people are getting their feed of spirituality from you as you step into their workplace. It must put you almost in a celebrity position, right? You come in and people are happy to see you. They're sharing intimate things with you. You've got this, if you weren't careful, you could think of yourself as a big deal because of the role you play in these companies and these people's lives. How do you manage that?
Well, I think you start with understanding that part of being a good chaplain and connecting with people is humility. No one wants to be around someone who thinks they're a big deal.
Yeah.
That gives off all kinds of vibes. And what I have found is that people are really people get it. And when you're around people long enough, they start to really get you and understand you. And if I'm going in with a facade or I think I'm a big deal, then I will never be able to be a good chaplain.
Do you tell that to your limo driver when they drop you off?
Yeah, I wish.
Yeah, I wish. All right, when we come back from break, I want to hear maybe some of the financial stuff. How do you price your services if you're willing to share anything like that? And I'd love some stories about people that you've come in contact that have really touched you. You're listening to What's Working. I'm Cam Marston in the studio with Todd McGehee, Coastal Chaplains. Be right back.
At Roy Lewis Construction, we're in the business of adding value. Whether it's working with you to meet your unique business needs or making investments in our community in lasting ways, providing unparalleled value and quality in every commercial construction project. When planning your next commercial project, reach out to Roy Lewis Construction. We'll pair you with a designer that best suits your project needs and work with that designer to balance the best architectural outcome with the best budget outcome. Find us online at roylewisconstruction.com, building legacies one relationship at a time.
At Spring Hill Toyota, it's just that easy. From our 3-day exchange to free car washes, the benefits of the Spring Hill Advantage make the choice easy to see. We make it easy to own. Every vehicle comes with Toyota Care, plus our no-cost maintenance plan with free tire rotations and oil changes for 4 years. Get peace of mind with free roadside assistance 24/7. And don't forget, it's easy to buy your car 100% online. Visit SpringHillToyota.com today. It's just that easy.
I'm David Nelson, brewmaster and owner of Braided River Brewing. We want beer that goes along no matter where the adventure takes us and that doesn't make us choose between great beer and drinkability. We're drawn to the Delta and united by beer, because to us, the best way to celebrate the Delta is to slow down and savor the moments and the beer together. Come visit our tap room in downtown Mobile and ask for us at your favorite bar or restaurant. Visit online at braidedriverbrewing.com.
Think about how people really see you. The kid at the drive-thru just sees a coffee drinker.
Please pull forward.
Your local barista sees the person who loves a smiley face in their latte.
See you next time.
It's kind of the same way with insurance. Other insurance companies just see a customer, but a State Farm agent sees more. They see you as a neighbor. Your State Farm agent is here to get to know who you really are, so they can help life go right.
Call me, State Farm agent Allison Horner, in Mobile at 666-1616.
We're back. You're listening to What's Working. I'm Cam Marston in the studio today with Todd McGehee of Coastal Chaplains. Todd, prior to the break, I'm a sucker man for a good story. I love telling them and I love hearing them, and I love to think that my stories are good, but I love to tell stories. Anyway, give me a story. Somebody who you interacted with that memory is still very powerful to you.
Well, one that comes to mind right off the bat was a person that I encountered, and the first time they met me, they were highly skeptical. They knew that I was different. They, to your point earlier, had an understanding of what a chaplain was, and they knew that it was spiritual, and they wanted nothing, absolutely nothing to do with it. So for a few months, maybe even around 6 months, every time I interacted with this person, there was a thick wall. You could feel the guard. It was the whole, like, I'm looking at you sideways, I don't trust you kind of thing. And over the months, we began to connect just on a personal level. Found out that we have some commonalities in sports we've played. Found out that we have connections in sports in general, but in things that we like to do. So we made some quick connections. And then about another 6 months of just building that connection. And then there came a point where there was a situation in their life that I can't share the details on, but there was a situation in their life that could have gone south really quickly. And it had to do with a relationship. And it could have been devastating, not only for this person, but for the extended family. And out of the blue, just to my utter shock, I couldn't believe they would share this. They pulled me to the side and they said, I've got to share what's going on in my life and I need your help. And they just spilled their guts. And this is a person that was on the surface was kind of, that hardened shell, didn't want to let anybody in. And they ended up crying over the situation. And I was able to talk through the situation with them, to give them advice, to listen to their story, to ask questions so that they might understand the other person's side of the story, to understand what they were feeling and going through. And then we prayed. And it was the first time someone outside of this person's family had ever prayed with them.
Really?
And there were tears. They didn't know that prayer was that big a deal until they experienced it that way. They had never really experienced someone else praying other than over a meal, right, or praying as a family like you would as a kid and hearing grandma pray. And so it was a powerful moment for me. And if I'm honest, Cam, I cried.
Did you really?
I did.
That's great. And there must be, now I know you didn't, I could tell by meeting you, you didn't wag your finger once it was over and say, told you so.
Oh, no, not at all. No, but we still joke about how he did, this person didn't trust me for a long time.
Yeah. That they were on the fence and now they're your biggest convert or something like that.
They're certainly real close.
How do you price your services? I mean, how do you price a service to do God's work?
That is interesting because it is something that I really struggled with.
Sure.
Because part of me says, this is what I should be doing, right? This is just kind of naturally what I should do, but I've also got to feed my family. And so I spent a lot of time thinking about what the service looks like and what it means. And I actually sat down with my son, who is an an economics and a finance major or graduated with an economics and finance degree, and we came up with a pricing model. And the pricing model, in essence, is at 50 people, it's $10 a head.
So an organization with 50 people,
right?
And that includes the entire head count.
That includes the entire head count.
Got it.
So 50 people, and it would be $500 a month, and it's like a benefit. So they're paying a $10 benefit a month that just goes along with the benefit package of their company.
And for that, they get access to that phone number that can be called at any time, and you're going to visit once a week.
And they're going to get an opportunity to talk to someone if they have a need to.
Right.
And it's not just them. I've met with teenagers who were cutting. I've met with family members who lost a loved one, and they were, a cousin.
Yeah.
I've met with a neighbor before. So it's people that are impacting the individual at the work, the employee that I see. It's anyone in their sphere of influence that they really think needs some help. We can reach out and make that happen.
Are you busier now? What has the pandemic done to your business?
Oh, wow. It is, definitely busier. One of the trends that I have seen, well, I heard someone say, let me say it this way. I've heard someone say at one point that depression is the common cold of the psychological world.
Mm-hmm.
Totally is true. And I've seen that ramp up through COVID. There's just there is a depression there that's over some people, and they can't really put their finger on it. And with that comes anxiety. So when you think about it like this, every workplace has anxiety built into it. Every job has some level of anxiety built into it. Now you have this undercurrent of fear and this undercurrent of, am I going to be able to get a paycheck? And this undercurrent of, am I going to get sick, or my loved one's sick, is in the hospital. Even if you don't feel like those things outside of work and the fear that you feel over COVID is impacting the stresses that you have in work, you're just wrong. They all come together. And so now you're stacking pressure and stress and anxiety and depression on top of each other. And so it's just created it's lifted everything up in a negative way.
Yeah. Yeah. So people are, do you have the sense now when you meet someone in one of these workplaces to be able to read them or hear their voice or hear their tone of voice to say, oh, this is another poor person with a depression issue? Can you diagnose quickly like that after your experiences?
Well, so I think about it like this. So as I'm walking through a place of business, I'm doing triage, right? So I'm an ER doctor,
mm-hmm.
and I'm watching to see if there's any signs of something going on. So I've learned to notice certain things, but at the end of the day, people are really good at wearing masks.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I like to think I'm good, but I'm not as good as I would like to be at noticing when people are struggling.
And I suspect you could see somebody struggling, but you have to hold yourself very closely to reach out to them. It could appear to be harassing or overbearing or whatever the word may be.
Right. So so the term I come up with, or that I use, I've heard someone else use it, is I fish around the pond.
Yeah.
So just kind of give them the opportunity. I can't say, hey, so-and-so, your manager said that I need to come talk to you because you're really struggling right now.
Right.
That just doesn't work. I can't do that. And so a manager might say, someone's struggling here, but I can't just go and confront them with it.
Right.
So, so you just kind of have to fish around that pond and give them the opportunity to respond.
If you weren't doing this, what would you be doing?
I don't know. If I weren't doing this, that's a hard question to ask him, because I think this is my vocation. This is what I have been called to do. So I cannot even imagine doing something else.
How do you know you were called to do it?
It feels right, but not just it feels right. My gifting is just I'm in my sweet spot. It is it's like batting practice every day. It's softballs being tossed up there. It's who I am. It fits. I'm able to do it and do it well. And I don't mean that in a braggadocious way at all. It fits. And I don't know how to explain that other than it just is right.
That's awesome. We're wrapping up. How can people find you?
Well, there's a couple of ways that they can find me. The best way to find me is going to be through my email address, and just email me directly. I like to do email so that it's not out on social media. I'm not a big fan of social media right now. So
no, I suspect there's a lot of anxiety and stress driven by social media right now.
Very much so. It compounds everything.
Yeah.
Compounds everything. And so my email address is ptmcgee72@gmail.com.
Folks, I'm going to put this in the show notes. If you're interested in seeing this, go find the podcast, What's Working with Cam Marston, someplace. It's on all the major podcast sites, and I will have his email address in that podcast notes. Is there another way you said there was two?
Yeah, the other way is I will just give you my cell number, and I know that's a little scary, but I mean, it's who I am and it's what I do. So my cell number is area code 251-554-6987.
That's awesome. And you're generous and bold and brave to put that out there.
Or just stupid.
We'll soon see. We'll soon see. I'm glad to know you. And I'm glad to know that there's 5 or 6 businesses out here that recognize the value that you bring to them. I'm glad to know that there's somebody out you providing counseling and thoughts and sharing with the people in the workplace. I boast that this show is designed to find the trends that are influencing the workplace. And this one sailed right by me. I'm glad this was pointed out to me. Todd, thank you for your work.
Well, thanks for having me, Ken.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Folks, after break, we'll come back with final comments. You're listening to What's Working. I'm Cam Marston.
What's Working with Cam Marston is brought to you by Stella Artois Beer. Stella Artois is a perfect beer for celebration. Nothing caps off a big sale, hitting your incentive goals, or a profitable quarter like a round of Stella's. Brewed first in 1708 as a special Christmas brew, today Stella is a gift for everyone to enjoy year-round. Stella Artois. Find it wherever fine beer is sold.
This is Cam Marston with Cajun Mike of E3 Termite and Pest Control. Cajun Mike, houses on pilings can have termites eat their way up inside the piling and enter the house. The homeowner never knows about it, but your company offers protection. Tell me about that.
Yeah, Cam. Basically, what we have designed is a program, and what we do is we will actually drill to the center of the pilings and put a product in the center that will stop the termites from coming up into the home.
Stucco exteriors as well?
Correct.
How can people find you, Cajun Mike?
They can find me at e3pest.com.
That's the letter E, the number 3, pest.com.
At Spring Hill Toyota, it's just that easy. From our 3-day exchange to free car washes, the benefits of the Spring Hill Advantage make the choice easy to see. We make it easy to own. Every vehicle comes with Toyota Care, plus our no-cost maintenance plan with free tire rotations and oil changes for 4 years. Get peace of mind with free roadside assistance 24/7. And don't forget, it's easy to buy your car 100% online. Visit SpringHillToyota.com today. It's just that easy.
I'm Eric Cromwell. The death of a loved one is never easy. The law firm of Cromwell and Associates understands this and will help you with the complexity and legal experience needed to navigate probate court and estate administrations. Our experience has saved our clients buckets of money and years in time. Our law firm has locations in Mobile and Fairhope. Call 251-605-9075 or find Cromwell and Associates on Facebook.
Hey, this is Cam. Thanks for listening, and I hope you're really enjoying the podcast. Do me a favor and search for Cam Marston on your social media outlets and like us or follow us or whatever is the right thing to do. Also, if you know others who'd benefit from the podcast, please forward it on to them and encourage them to listen. If you're so inclined, we'd love your rating on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. Those ratings matter. Finally, don't be a stranger. Email me with your comments, your feedback, your thoughts, your show ideas, whatever. Cam, C-A-M, at cammarston.com. I'd love to hear from you. Again, thank you very much for listening. Now, back to the show. I want to thank Todd McGehee for his time with us today. I love what he's doing, reaching out to the corporations, more importantly, reaching out to the people within these organizations to help them out. In times of crisis, in times of uncertainty, people tend to turn to religion. And for this part in our nation's history, we have more people that have parents and now grandparents that have no religious affiliation. In the demographic circles, it's called unchurched. We have more people that are unchurched than ever before. So these times of stress, these times of strife, people often turn to religion, but without parents that have taught them the way, they don't know what to do. And in walks Todd and people like Todd to help give them some sort of direction, if you believe in that type of thing. Incidentally, I do. And I think his ministry is appreciated and needed. And he has found a wonderful way to pursue a ministry that's not in your face, that doesn't require the boldness and the braveness of stepping into a church that you've never been to. He comes to them in an environment that they're likely fairly comfortable, their own workplace. There is a great need and demand for Todd's work, and I have a deep appreciation for him and what he's doing. I want to finish off the show with something that caught my eye, and I'm going to give you a website to follow if you're interested in these types of things. It's called visualcapitalist.com. This was referred to me by a friend in Seattle, and I watch their data come in on a daily basis, and some of it catches my eye, some of it doesn't. This one really caught my eye, so I'm going to ask you a question here, and I'll give you a moment or two to consider this. Who in the world, that's a key part of this, has the most social media followers? Think about it for a moment. Who would you guess in the world has the most social media followers? I'll give you a 5 count. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The answer is Cristiano Ronaldo. He's a soccer player, for those of you who don't know who he is, over in Europe. And I'll give you another opportunity to guess and answer. How many social media followers do you think he has? I'll give you a 5-second count. 5, 4, 3, 2. 493 million people follow Cristiano Ronaldo, more than the population of this nation. And the report goes on to list here, I'll give you the top 5, let's say. Number 1 is Cristiano Ronaldo. Number 2, Justin Bieber. Everybody likes to make fun of the guy, but good Lord knows 443 million people follow him. The majority of them are on Instagram. The majority of Ronaldo's followers are on Instagram as well. So Ronaldo, then Bieber. Number 3 is Ariana Grande. My wife may correct me at some point for mispronouncing that. It tells you how far removed I am from this stuff. Number 4, Selena Gomez. Number 5, Taylor Swift. Of all the ones that are on the top 10, all but 2, let me see if I'm looking at this correctly, all but 2 are musicians. There's Ronaldo, who's not a musician. There's Dwayne Johnson with 342 million people. The Rock, film and TV is the way they listed him. Kylie Jenner at 333 million people, and Kim Kardashian at 319 million. One of the things I've wanted to do for this show is get an influencer on the show to talk about what it is that they do. If you know one, send them my way. I'd love to hear the life of these people, what it is they do, and how they define what they do. That brings us to a close. The show is produced by John Thompson with Ion Digital. I want to thank all the kind and helpful people that help with this show every week, and I want to thank John too. We'll have another show next week, everybody. Have a good week.